What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, or wherever you are, and whatever time it is, and welcome back to yet another video with your man, Immersiaholic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another online battle for the Divine Impera Overhaul mod for Total War Rome 2. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the might of Macedon taking on the Far Eastern, I guess you could say expat Greeks of Bactria. This is going to be an insanely interesting matchup. It is not every day that you get to see these two major Greek-ish, I guess. I mean, Macedon is relatively Greek, and so is Bactria. So I guess Greek-ish factions taking each other on. Going to be very interesting to see how these contrasting factions take up their army compositions and their just overall strategy in an online battle. It's not something that you often see in the Grand Campaign or generally any campaign. These are not factions that typically fight each other. Once again, this battle replay was sent in by my very good friend Kalogero. Massive props to him for continuing to send in battle replays. I'm organizing to try and record some battle replays of my own this weekend, so hopefully that goes through and you guys will see some really cool, interesting replays coming up in the next couple weeks. But in the meantime, our man Kalogero has hooked us up. He is playing as Macedon, and he will be taking on the infamous God, who's playing as Bactria. I do not know who wins this battle, as I try to never know who does win or lose a battle before I watch the replay, so you guys hear my genuine reaction. But I can tell you straight off the bat, I'm really heavily favoring this towards God. Because of one kind of subtle thing about Bactria that not a lot of people might understand. But that's just based on the faction pick. So let's get into the army compositions, and then I'll get into a little bit more about who I think is going to win, and then we'll start the battle. So anyway, let's start off by checking out the Macedonian roster. So starting out here on the left hand flank of the Macedonians, we have a little wing section right here. At the front, we have Agrianian Axemen. Excellent unit, although they are only 200 men strong, but they have 2 javelins to throw, so very nice unit indeed. We then have the infamous Shield Bearers, an excellent spear unit. It's technically a spear unit, but it's more of a hoplite unit, really. I guess it would be more of a hoplite unit technically, but very elite unit, very just solid, excellent defense. Discipline, all of the above. It ticks all of the boxes that you want for a good hoplite unit. This is then followed up by 2 units of Thessalian cavalry. Thessalian cav being medium shock cavalry. I guess as the description says, it is exactly spot on for once. You can see in the center of the screen, when I hover over it, there's a little box that pops up. It says medium shock cav, and that's dead on. These guys have a medium-ish armor of about 28. But they are only shock cav. They only have a melee defense of 5, so you've got to be careful with those. This is then followed up by a Thurio spear unit on the far left side, and then a basic levy Greek infantry unit right here, both 300 men strong. Interesting left wing. Moving to the center of the Macedonian formation, Macedonian hoplites, followed by Greek bronze shield pikemen. More Greek bronze shields, and then Macedonian hoplites. So hoplites on either flank of the 2 pikemen. They are then followed up by a Sarissa lancer unit. This is not the general. It's just a pretty light shock cavalry unit, but very, very good indeed. 120 men, FYI, whereas the Thessalians are only 100. In the far rear of the central formation, we have Greek javelin men, Greek infantry unit, which is a levy unit, as I said before, and another Greek javelin unit. So some kind of trashy units in the rear just to help fill in his army a little bit. Trashy units definitely have their uses, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And then the far right hand side, on the position of honor, as always, for Kalogero that is his general, 200 man strong personal bodyguard of the late Sacred Squadron. Fantastic general to have. Excellent, I wouldn't say very high tier, but high tier melee cavalry unit. 200 men in the unit, which is very special. It may be the only personal bodyguard cavalry unit that has 200 men. There might be one other unit. I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe these Seleucids might have another unit, but I need to look into that These guys are just fantastic. Going to be very hard for GOD to handle this. Next to them, they have Sarissa Lancers. Again, a pretty light tier shot cav unit, but very cost effective generally. In front of them, more Agrianian Axemen, and then we have Elite Guard. Elite Guard are different to the, what was the other one? The Shield Bearers over here. And that's because these guys are a short pike unit. So they have a pike, but it's not as long as the typical Sarissa. You can see the Sarissas over there are quite high. These guys are not. Because their pike isn't as high, that means that they can be a little bit more mobile though. And they have fantastic stats. Again, very good attack considering they are a pike unit. Again, going to be a very tanky unit for GOD to take on. So the Macedonians are fielding a lot of elite infantry backed up by some kind of trashy infantry just around in the background. Oh wait, I didn't say what's in the rear on the right hand side. Same as the left hand side, we have Greek infantry and then Netheria spears. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah, a lot of elite infantry for the Macedonians, coming with a lot of cavalry, 5 units in total, including the general. Some pretty trashy units to back up the elites, but I mean, if Kalogero can get into a grind out fight with his units engaged against Bactria, his elite units should be better than a lot of what Bactria has to offer in its highest tier units. However, Bactria has some aces up its sleeve. It has excellent units all around. I just think the elites of Macedon might be better. Anyway, let's go to the Bactrian side and see what their army comp is. Okay, so for Bactria, we're going to start on the right hand side because there's something on the left I want to talk about a little bit more. On the left hand side, we have Baktrian infantry, a very good unit Bactria gets access to. 300 men strong, good, basically mid tier spear unit. Pretty solid armor, 25 defense, 17. These guys are nothing to scoff at. They do have an extra defense of 17 instead of just 16 because they do have 1 rank of experience. He then has another one behind it on the far right hand side. I don't believe he has any hidden units, but there could be some way out here. We'll see. And then for the center of his formation, going along here, he just has a lot of Thurio spears. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 units of them. And in the second line, he has Greco-Bactrian assault infantry, 300 men strong, some decent armor piercing damage of 7. And their melee attack and defense is quite high. So these guys are going to do a lot of damage if they're allowed in a grind out fight against units that can't handle them. But it'll be interesting to see if the pikemen of Macedon can handle them or not. Then we move on to the rear of the infantry formation. We have some Morian longbowmen, 1 unit there, another unit here. Excellent skirmisher unit for online battles, at least because of the range of 215. This is the longest shooting archer unit in the game. I don't believe there's any other archers that shoot that far. There may be one more, but these guys are so helpful because they help you deal with light cavalry from the enemy and deal with enemy skirmishers. The major weakness though is that they don't have any armor, so if they get hit by a butterfly, they're gonna die. But they do have 200 men per unit, so that's also worth keeping in mind. In the rear of the formation, at the far back, we have Morian Warrior Guildsmen. 3 units to be exact. Among some of the best shock infantry in the game, and you can see why. Look at this. What the bloody hell is that? That is monstrous, that 2-handed sword they're swinging. I don't know the name of that sword, but that is looking deadly. Amazing armor piercing damage and just weapon damage. Fantastic attack of 17 and a good charge bonus. Kalogero is going to have to disrupt these guys somehow, either with cavalry charges or skirmishes, which he doesn't have much of. Moving along to the left hand side, though, we have Yavana Guard, which is an elite hoplite unit that is the general's bodyguard. Interesting choice again. GOD going for an infantry bodyguard unit. Then over here on the far left hand flank, we have something which is kind of what I wanted to talk about in terms of what Bactria has as a little bit of an ace up its sleeve. Bactria is actually a pretty solid skirmishing faction, which is not something you think of when you think of the major Greek factions like Macedon, Seleucids, Egypt, Bactria. And that's because they have access to Morian longbowmen, and they can get as many as they like. It's not a locked AOR unit, which is something that I've been complaining about for a while now, but I'll shut up. They do have those very powerful Mauryan longbowmen, but then they also have horse skirmishers, and these guys are horse archers specifically. So you get the excellent skirmishing that Moria gets to offer, the Indian faction in the game, but you also kind of get a taste of what Parthia can offer as well. And while these guys are just Baktrian horse archers, they aren't as good necessarily as Parthian horse archers. They're not far off. They would be basically the same tier as the low tier Parthian horse archers, which might not sound like a massive big deal, but when you're going up against a player as skilled as God, these guys can make a world of difference and a world of pain for you if you're playing against them. So seeing 3 of these bad boys on the battlefield for God, I am very nervous for Kalogero. And then God has some really cost-effective units. His entire 2 main lines have 300 men in every single unit. He even has good units on the flank over here with 300 men in them. He has amazing shock infantry. This is going to be an army that's very mobile and still very skilled and very well equipped for the most part. So even though Kalogero, playing as Macedon over here, has some very elite infantry, his infantry require head-on engagements in order for units like the pikes to do well or the hoplites to do well. And he doesn't have any skirmishers to counter the Mauryan longbowmen or the Baktrian horse archers. He only has 2 units of javelinmen, and they are not very good at all. So, very big challenge coming ahead for Kalogero. As good of a player as he is, I'm going to be surprised if he can pull this back. So let's go ahead, start the battle, and let's see who wins in this epic matchup between Macedon and Bactria. Now, typically, I don't bother showing you guys the skirmishing phase. However, the skirmishing phase, is what is going to be very crucial for this battle. You can see the horse archers have taken a couple casualties, but nothing significant. But these units of infantry have thrown their javelins, and they got hardly any kills against the horse archers. So this is going to be a really crucial stage of the battle where the Baktrian player has to get good kills and at least good displacement of enemy positions by using these horse archers. If he can disrupt the formation of the Macedonians, he might be able to maneuver his mobile troops in through the gaps and overwhelm the pikemen and hoplites. Not seeing too many counters go out against the horse archers except for these infantry units being pushed forward in a spaced out formation, which is a good idea. Forces the horse archers to have to stay out of their kind of radius. Bactria is shifting its entire army to the left hand side, or right, looking from this point of view. Here comes the horse archers, harassing the Agrianians no less. Not a good target for Kalogero to take casualties from. He's going to pull them back. This is where he might want to bring up his trash infantry. He has a single unit right here to try and soak up the horse archers, but they're pulling back already. Perhaps God is not going to try to skirmish too heavily. Kalogero is a good player. He should be able to counter this, although it's going to be hard with his army composition. Looks like he's trying to push forward, force the initial engagement to begin between the melee troops of both sides. Mauryan longbowmen are engaging. Let's see what they're targeting. I'm expecting them to target the cavalry. Are they going to hit it? Yes, they are hitting the cav right now. The cav will pull back, but that's some good hit point damage that those longbowmen are getting. One good way to deal with cavalry, especially light cav, is to use slingers, or in this case, long-range archers, because why not? Macedonian infantry are trying to push forward. They're trying to push the issue, get that engagement happening. Javelins on the right side of the Macedonians have been used, so no counters at all for the horse archers. Perhaps God is going to try to keep them in reserve. Oh, look at this engagement. Oh dear. I wonder if that's intentional, trying to bring his troops side on. Look at this. Oh no, I think he was giving them an attack order to throw their javelins. Either way, Macedonians are engaging. We have blood being spilled right here. Or about to be. No units died yet. Who's gonna get their first kill? The hoplite unit? Or the Baktrian Therio spears? This is not going to be a quick engagement with those infantry. Oh, the pikemen are now engaging. Yeah, pikemen are getting hammered by the skirmishers. Oh my goodness. Look at all of these pikemen going down. Oh no. That is not good for them. And that's coming in from these skirmishers and the horse archers. Look at this concentrated fire. Obliterating this entire pike unit. They're down to half strength already. Oh my goodness, we're almost half strength. That is savage. Kalogero thinks to pull back, chooses better of it, tries to push forward regardless. Man, I really don't see how Kalogero can deal with the amount of skirmishing firepower God has here. That's so rough. He probably needs to be proactive with his cavalry. Because I guess one weakness of GOD's army is that he doesn't really have too many counters to cav. Yeah, he has a lot of spears, but they're all up here in the first front line. So if they can be engaged in melee combat, perhaps his cavalry can come in, support his infantry advancing, but... Dude, yep, GOD's just pulling his infantry back. He doesn't have to fight these pikemen, so why would he? Fall back, let the archers do their damage before he even bothers engaging. Although he is engaging over here on the left hand side. Agrianians are fighting two sets of Baktrian infantry. Agrianians will do well in getting kills, but they are facing off against two sets of 300 units, 300 man units, that have high defense and good attack. Agrianians will end up losing. They do have Therio spears coming in to help them out, but Agrianians have already lost 20 men. A little bit of friendly fire from the javelins. Here comes the Baktrian assault infantry as well. Oh, dude. Bactria is such a tough faction. They might not have the elites that Macedon does, but dude, they have amazing mid to high tier infantry regardless. Back towards the center, these two pike units are almost entirely wiped out. Right hand flank of the Macedonians is now beginning to engage the Baktrians. This will force them to fight, getting the more mobile Agrianians and Greek infantry involved. Good choice. Hoplites are attacking, but they're going to get kills very, very slowly. It's going to be hard to micromanage this like center right here, while also trying to micromanage the cavalry on the wings. No action from these two sets of cavalry. Bit of a mistake. Needs to get them happening. Where is his general? Oh, way back here. Smart call, keeping him back. Away from the archers. Agrianian X-Men about to get called out and taken on by the Baktrian infantry right here. The Agrianians would win this engagement, but you don't want to waste an Agrianian on that, if possible. The Agrianians are an excellent unit, but the longbowmen again coming in, just harassing the cavalry. They're gonna get some free kills now. They've done their hit point damage. This is on the Thessalian cavalry, so this is the medium cav unit. They will be given an order to pull back, but they have taken quite a good amount of damage, just general damage now, so not ideal for them, although the archers are about to kind of get caught up in melee combat. Gotta be careful there. Right hand flank is getting pretty heavy right now. Macedonians are doing well on the infantry front on the right hand side. They've managed to outflank Baktrian positions. Center is hardly engaging, not doing really much at all. I mean, it's hard to do though, so definitely can't blame Kalogero for that. Although what I'd like to see him do now is use the cavalry to come in here and help out his infantry take on the Baktrians. Push for the pikes and the hoplites, and that way the Baktrians have to pull back, and then as they continue to pull back, units like these units over here will become isolated. So we might even see a charge right here. Yeah, very nice charge. Good job, Kalogero. Not the best charge in the world. He does knock over some of his own men. It won't damage them, but Oh look, now he's pushing forward. You guys see that gap opening right there. Now he could get another cav charge in if he wants. And even though these Baktrian infantry are pushing forward, they could become outflanked as well. Looks like they might have an attack order hit the hoplites. That's okay, hoplites can handle it. This guy's a pretty solid Macedonian hoplites. Need to try not to get too focused right there though. Javelin men of the Macedonians are coming forward. They're just doing a general attack order against the what do you call them? The guildsmen. The shock infantry of Bactria are now being engaged over here. How many of them do we have over here? One unit. Where are the rest of them? Wait. Let's pull up this unit card. I want to find out. So one Morian right there, which is the Serenian Patia. Where are the rest of them? There's another one right here coming in. Hang on. I really need to know where these Morian guildsmen are. So we have one Morian guildsman unit right here. Elite shock infantry unit. Absolutely fantastic. Where's the other one? Oh, one's up here in reserve, maneuvering around right now. And then the other one is right here engaging. 100 kills, but they have lost a pretty large amount of men. 64 men dead so far. Let's continue playing. The Morians are pretty involved though. I'm kind of surprised they're already involved in the fighting. I would have expected them to be a little bit later, but the right-hand flank of the Macedonians is actually doing really well. I'm quite surprised Kalogero's been able to do so well with this. Doing some attack orders with his javelins on the general of the Baktrians. He's kind of a little bit too forward, especially on the right-hand side. This is like the side where the Macedonians are doing well, so that general could become isolated very, very quickly. Although there is infantry coming around to try and support. Cavalry of the Baktrians isn't coming in as heavy as I thought it might. I mean, it's helped out massively in dealing with the pikemen, but how is its kills? 106? That's pretty good. 68. 85. It's not terrible. Not bad at all. Because they did wipe out a lot of the pikemen that were in the center. But I was expecting the skirmishing phase to be drawn out a lot longer, but GOD either just wanting to fight a little bit more honorably and allow the melee engagement, or he just didn't want to pull his army back. Didn't skirmish for too long, but look at this usage of the horse archers though. They are dealing with the enemy cav. One of his units runs out of ammunition, so he just charges it into the Macedonian, because why not? Macedonian will win the charge, but they got to get swarmed by some Morian longbowmen, who I guess are also out of ammo now. Horsemen are trying to swing around, probably try to get a rear charge. The left-hand side of the Macedonians has been kind of cut down. There is some remnants over here, but that's also a lot of cavalry. The center is an absolute mess right now as well. We have the Macedonian hoplites that are alive on the right-hand side. This left-hand side, that is the shield bearers, no? Yes, it is. They should last a long time. They're very elite, hard to break. You have to kill them all, basically. But wow, this is turning out to be a lot more even than what I expected. The right-hand side of the Macedonians is just crushing the Baktrians. Absolutely phenomenal stuff here. The infantry from Bactria is just getting overwhelmed by the cavalry, and then the elites. The elite units of Macedon are pushing forward, getting involved. We have a big rout right here. 100 hoplites are routing. Oh, here comes a charge. Oh, oh, savage. Oh, those guildsmen got annihilated. Very nice charge by Kalogero. Props to him. Woo. That's absolutely a unit you want to charge. They got to pull out quickly though. Get out of there, cavalry. Baktrian infantry are returning to the fight. Left-hand side though is definitely favoring the Baktrians. They wiped out the cavalry that was on the left, so now these horse archers have free reign. Infantry is coming back to do some outflanking. We're probably going to see the armies kind of form up in a square off like this. The Bactrians coming in from this way, Macedonians this. The Bactrian general is surrounded. I would really like to see a little bit more attention brought in on him, because the general should be there. Where is he? I can't see him in the fighting, unless he's already dead, but he shouldn't be. Surely not. I mean, you never know, though. I do have general notifications turned off, so... Anyway, I don't know. Looking like it's swinging back towards the Baktrian favor now. This is so interesting. The Bactrians won that left-hand flank off the Macedonians, and now they've just swung around. Now all of a sudden, the Macedonians are just losing so much infantry so quickly. They were doing really, really well there for a few minutes. It looked like they were going to pull this through, but it's starting to look less and less like the Macedonians have a chance. They do have their general left, but I believe that's their last unit of cavalry. Yeah. Meanwhile, the very light and poorly equipped horse archers of the Bactrians are still in the game, so actually mad props for that. Not easy to keep horse archers alive after such a long time. And they've been engaging in melee. I don't know. Oh, here comes more units returning from routing from Macedon. Interesting. Could we try to get some charges in with that Sarissa unit? I would really like to see the Macedonians try to unite their forces, though. Come in here and just try to form up. These units are so spread out, man. If these elites were just closer to each other, offered support, and they kept their general alive nearby, they could really last a really long time. But they're just being given attack orders, which is okay, but they're getting separated. Like this unit right here, the Sagima unit, that is going to get surrounded, and I would be surprised if it didn't rout. Oh my goodness. This is actually getting quite tight. A lot of units are on the verge of breaking. Baktrian infantry units about to rout, another one over here. The Macedonians are getting outflanked, but now, the Macedonians were getting outflanked, but now the Baktrians are getting outflanked. Oh my goodness, what has happened? The Macedonians bringing it back? Look at this. We've got a big rout over here on the left-hand side. Baktrian infantry running off the battlefield. Another set is about to rout. Where is the Baktrian general? He must be dead because he's not here. Holy crap. This is actually getting... No way, this is going back towards Macedon's favor. What? They had like 3 units left. And then all of their units have just come back from routing, man. Oh, dude, how devastating for the Baktrians. It looked like they had it in the bag, but their general's gone. There is some decent units of Bactria holding out, but they're getting outflanked. There is a single unit of horse archers left right here, but they're just horse archers. They're not going to get many kills on a charge. Macedonian general pops a rally ability, loses that infantry unit though. Oh, hang on a second. We're seeing some rats come in. Macedonians lose 1 unit, lose 2 units. Might lose his cavalry unit. Ooh. It's coming back. It's these bloody horse archers, the Bactria. Oh, get a nice rat though. Macedonians doing well. These 2 units cannot be involved in the fight if Macedon is going to win this. Here comes all of these units ready to fight the Macedonian. The Baktrian units, but oh my goodness, never mind. The units end up routing. The horse archers nearly brought it back for Bactria, but they just couldn't hack it. They got very, very close. Oh my goodness, what a roller coaster. I really thought Bactria was going to have that in the bag there. There was like 4 units or so of Macedonians left. The Bactrians had their cavalry, and somehow the troops that previously routed off the field for the Macedonians had come back, and that plus the excellent generals seemed to have brought it in for them. GG's to both gentlemen. Let's very quickly go to the statistics screen, and then we'll end it there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what a friggin' roller coaster that was. I really thought Bactria had it in the bag. He had an excellent army composition. The horse archers in particular were pretty devastating. They got excellent kills all around, and they got good kills on good units. So, wow, I can't believe that Macedon brought it back. I think the Bactrians losing their general towards the end of the fight there really hurt them quite badly. The Guildsmen didn't do as well as what I thought they would. This unit in particular getting cut off and charged on its own. Bad luck for it. The other unit getting 200 kills is okay. 120 is okay, but these Guildsmen are expensive and they're just very good, but they need to be protected. They have very terrible defense, but decent armor, so you're still going to try to avoid them getting stuck in a grind out fight. The cavalry of the Macedonians got pretty smashed. It didn't do that well. But there's one unit, 219 kills, and then of course the MVP for this match has to be the Macedonian general, coming in at 576 kills. That is devastating. I don't know how it got so many kills, but the fact that it was still alive at the end of the fight, and it had the majority of its units still intact, that really says a lot about the Royal Squadron from Macedon. Very impressive unit. Definitely won the battle for the Macedonians. Without their general, I could see a lot more of these units routing, or at least not coming back from routing, because there was quite a few that routed. But they kind of came back all at once at the end of the fight. The Baktrians had units rout, but a lot of them didn't come back from routing, and probably because they lost their general. So unfortunately, the general fighting in the hoplite formation didn't work out for the Baktrians. It's always risky when you get your general and he's not in a cavalry unit or in some kind of really protected unit, like keep him at the back or something. When you put him in a unit like this and you let him fight pretty early on, man, you're kind of rolling the dice there. And while it wasn't necessarily a bad call by GD, it's a very good hoplite unit. This unit just got surrounded. Kalogero recognized where the general's bodyguard was, did very well to nail it with javelins. He did an excellent job in identifying the weakness of the Baktrian army, which was the general caught off on their left-hand flank. The rest of the army for Bactria did really well. You can see a lot of their kills are quite high on their pretty mid-tier units. However, the Macedonian units, it's not as consistent. There's some units that did fantastic. I mean, look at these elites: 336 kills, 372. That's the shield bearer unit and the I forget the name of it now, but the short pike unit, the Agema unit. I forget the English name. But both of these units, they're elite spear units essentially. They absolutely demonstrated why it's good to have elite units like that. High kills. A lot of their men were left still alive in their unit, almost 90% for this hoplite unit. Very, very impressive. The pikemen of the Macedonian army got wiped out though. Didn't contribute almost at all. The one thing that they kind of did do is push the main line of the Bactrians back, and we saw some side charges coming in on the Bactrian infantry. Javelinmen of the Macedonians didn't really contribute a lot, but they did focus fire on the general for the Bactrians. So while these kills aren't high, they did contribute pretty significantly, I would say. But yeah, the main front line of the Macedonian army didn't do very well. But despite that, their right-hand flank just managed to survive for a long time. And they came in and hit the Baktrians hard. I'm really surprised by this outcome. I mean, they're both fantastic players, around the same level for sure. But just that these skirmishers and God using these horse archers, I know he's a fantastic player and he's really good with using skirmishing units. So if I were Kalogero and I saw God bring in all these horse archers, I would be crapping my pants. But Kalogero brought it in anyway, so GG's to both gentlemen. Thank you very much again to Kalogero for sending in the battle replay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one.